We've all grown up hearing stories about that house at the end of the road that you don't dare go to at night. Or we've sat around a campfire and listened to stories about the woods around us and the creatures lurking in them waiting to grab you. But sometimes these tales become embedded in the areas where they are told and find a way to keep being passed down from one generation to the next. They become more than just stories. They become a part of that town's history. And sometimes, the story isn't just a story. Deep in the woods of York, Pennsylvania, on Trout Run Road, a mental asylum was built in the 1800s. It was said it was built in this remote location to keep the insane and disturbed residents far away from normal society. No one quite knows how it started, but a terrible fire was ignited within the asylum, and it quickly engulfed the entire building. Patients and staff on the upper levels were trapped and consumed by the blaze, leaving their charred remains to burn with the building. A large amount of the patients managed to escape the burning asylum and scattered and fled into the surrounding woods. Because of its remote and isolated location, the building was lost to the fire before anyone could get there and attempt to put it out. Soon after the fire, the locals began to report seeing and hearing strange things in the woods. Because of this, 7 gates were built to keep people from getting into the area, and more importantly, to keep whoever had managed to escape the fire from getting out. The story goes to this day that the further you travel into the 7 gates, the more and more strange things become. The first gate is the easiest to find, but gives off no welcoming invitation, as it is surrounded by no trespassing signs and has been overgrown by the ominous forest around it. At the second gate, people report feeling nauseous and feeling a sense of dread that only grows more overwhelming the deeper they travel into the area. At the third gate, people report hearing laughter and other noises from the surrounding woods. Some say they hear children laughing, while others report it's the laughter of the insane inmates that escaped into the woods so many years ago. At the fourth gate, people report that electronics such as phones and cameras stop working altogether and batteries go dead. Everyone will tell you no one has made it past the 5th gate without running back terrified and unable to express what they saw. It's said to reach the 7th gate is to reach hell itself. This area, known as the 7 Gates of Hell, lives on as a very well-known local urban legend. It was my first week attending college in the Williamsport, Pennsylvania area. I started to form a large group of friends, all who were excited to be living away from home and looking for anything fun to do on the weekend. One of the students who was from the area mentioned going to Katie's church. He said he had been there before and how scary it was. He said it was a local urban legend. Without a doubt, we all planned to go ghost hunting that weekend. On the drive there, I was told Katie was a real person who had been engaged to the love of her life. Katie was waiting for the return of her fiancé who was away at war. The week she was due to be married, she found out the news of his death. The day of her wedding, Katie hung herself in her wedding dress from a large oak tree right outside the little white chapel. To this day, residents report seeing a woman in a white dress slowly drift along the long road passing the church. I was informed by the student that we needed to knock on the oak tree 3 times to summon the ghost. I didn't think much of the trip, especially since we were constantly getting lost on the back roads. There was nothing but empty cornfields filled with darkness. I even started to get bored, wondering if we would ever find it. There were 3 cars total on this trip, and I was a passenger in the last car. That's when someone said, "Holy shit, I think that's it." I looked up. All I could see in the distance was one yellow glowing lamp next to a tiny old church and a large tree. The closer we approached, the more I began to feel uneasy. The two cars in front of us pulled up to the church and parked. The kids in the car immediately began pouring out and going straight to the tree. The car I was in parked maybe 50 feet away, being a little more cautious as to what we were approaching. We got out. I couldn't seem to take my eyes off the church. Guided by the yellow light, I could see the windows were boarded up, and the walls looked as if they were sinking in. I could hear laughter as one of the students knocked on the tree several times. Someone yelled, "Look at the graveyard!" Lo and behold, there was a graveyard behind the old white church. But there was something not right. As we looked closer, we saw there were metal grates placed over several of the grave sites, clearly to keep the dead from getting out. One of the girls began crying, saying she could feel something was not right and we needed to leave. Hysteria started to break out as most of us started to get very uneasy. Everyone suddenly started to run to their cars, but of course my group was parked the furthest away, causing some panic as we ran. I saw the driver of my car look down the dark road for a minute before getting into his car. We got in and he said he thought he saw something in the distance coming toward us. We sped away from Katie's church. All three cars pulled into a gas station several miles away. We noticed everyone's car was completely covered in fresh dust from all the back roads. That's when someone pointed to the car that I had been in. The car that had parked the furthest away from Katie's church. The car that sat on the road where she walks. That car was the only car that had several handprints on the trunk in the fresh dust. South Park Township, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Two boys are out after dark playing in the local park. As they are walking through the park, they notice something coming down the main path. Their eyes grow wider as they look at this thing slowly coming towards them in the darkness. What they see is a man walking slowly at an uneven canter, but this is not like any person they have seen before. As the man is getting closer and closer, they can see that his skin seems to be emitting a subtle green glow. The kids want to run, but fear and curiosity keeps them planted as they can't take their eyes off this strange man. The kids watch as the man slowly gets closer and closer. He is now almost right on top of them. The man stops. The boys are trembling with fear. The man slowly lifts and turns his head towards the boys. What they see is something straight from their nightmares. The man is looking right at them, but he has no eyes. Not just that, he has no face at all. The boys scream and run from the park as fast as they can. As word of the Green Man spreads, more and more people report seeing him as well, but not just at the park. He is seen walking the back roads late at night. Others claim he is living in an old service tunnel just beyond the outskirts of town. Local teens say that if you park your car in the tunnel and turn off your lights and kill the engine and wait, the Green Man will emerge from the darkness and place his hands on your car and slowly walk up to the driver's side door. Sightings of the Green Man continued for several years from many local people, all having a very similar experience, making it a well-documented and very well-known urban legend. The only thing is, the Green Man, or No-Face Charlie, isn't an urban legend at all. He's real.